Let's discuss with CNN senior military analyst and former NATO Supreme Allied Commander Admiral James Stavridis. He's also a partner at the Carlyle Group, a global investment firm. Admiral, thanks so much for being with us as always. So Vladimir Putin proposes these talks, then decides he's not going to show up. Is he simply stringing along the Ukrainians and the United States?
Yeah, the word I like to use is rope-a-dope. I mean, this is an old boxing technique where you just kind of lay back on the ropes and you let a couple of punches go by you. You're not really engaging. All you're trying to do is tire out the other side. This is a classic example of Putin doing so, particularly kind of stoking everybody's hopes. Another term would be bait and switch, talking about high-level talks in Turkey, and then, oops, not only am I not going, Putin, I'm not even going to send Sergei Lavrov, my Minister of Foreign Affairs. I'm going to send the C team. I think it's frankly an insult to the President of the United States. And I think Putin ought to wake up to how he is mishandling the Trump account, because it's going to come back to bite him as these negotiations unfold.
To that point, I wonder what you make of how the president handled all of this. He sort of initially said that he believes that Putin wanted him there. Then later he said that he really wasn't paying attention to the delegation. He sort of pivoted when he was asked to talk about the trillions of dollars in deals that he's brokered in the Middle East. Do you think Putin would have actually gone if Trump had said that he was attending this meeting?
I don't see a universe where if Trump had been forthright and said, I am going to be there, Vladimir, you need to come. In that universe, I think Putin would have shown up. However, if you're the president of the United States, you've got a lot of options about how to spend your time. And so the judgment to spend a lot of time working commercial deals and allies in the Arabian Gulf, as opposed to going to Turkey, may well pay off dividends for the United States. And final thought, the irony here, Boris, is that we may get a deal with Iran before we get this deal between Ukraine and Russia. That Iranian deal is looking better by the day. So I think if you're in the White House, your argument would be, look, President Trump has a lot of options as to where he goes, and he has chosen to put a focus on the Middle East. He's pushing this Iranian deal forward, and we'll get to you, Putin, when it's time to get to you. That's a signal back to Moscow, maybe not a bad one.
How do you think the U.S. should respond as you have Russia on one side, the chief of the Russian delegation, saying that the Kremlin is prepared for possible compromises, but sources have told CNN that it appears Russia's amassing forces for a new offensive in the east. I mean, do you think that response from the U.S., sort of pushing it to the side, is enough? When would you draw the line at installing new sanctions?
I would go with our European partners here, and notably France, United Kingdom, Poland, all came together with Germany just last week. They're the ones who proposed the idea of additional sanctions. I think it's time now for the United States to be part of that approach. And then secondly, Boris, you didn't mention it, but I will. The best way to force Putin to the table is to provide further armament, long-range missiles, cruise missiles, artificial intelligence, all of that, more ammunition to the Ukrainians. Look, the Ukrainians aren't asking for the 82nd Airborne, the U.S. Army, to show up and defend themselves. They're willing to fight. Let's give them more weapons systems, more tools, more ability to reach into Russia itself. I think that is the path to getting Putin to the table.
Admiral James Stavridis, appreciate your point of view. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Boris.